Hello, everyone. Lewis Flanagan III for DallasWeekly.com and YouChooseNews.com. I am joined today by Albert Black, City of Dallas mayoral candidate. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Lewis. I'm enjoying being out here running for mayor. I'm listening. I'm learning. I'm making adjustments, Lewis. Adjustments like I haven't made since the formation of quite frankly, of my business career. I'm making adjustments all the time. Those adjustments are being made when when they are fit with my personal, professional, and now political ethics and morals. When I can make those adjustments within that time, that framework, well, then I'm finding that the people that I am interacting with at all compass points of our city are doing the work necessary to make me a better candidate. You see, they pick me, which is so different than before. We're giving people, this campaign is giving people the opportunity to pick their mayor and then not leave me alone, but make me the candidate that they need for me to be.
Okay.
And then, with enough voter registration, turnout, and actually vote, Dallas will have me as mayor. Now, that's our strategy. It's real simple. We want that broadcast everywhere we can. It's nothing that we're trying to keep behind the curtain. And we'll perhaps come back to those curtains later.
All right. Well, you talk about citizens of Dallas being able to pick you as their mayor.
Yes.
Why did you choose to become a candidate in the first place?
Well, the national discourse had a lot to do with it, and I wouldn't be as candid as you need for this interview to be if I didn't say that. What we're listening to on television, reading about in the newspaper, hearing on the radio, that is affecting me. More so because I have children that are involved in politics as volunteers, as financial supporters, as their careers have taken off and they found themselves doing well. But most importantly, I've got grandchildren. I've got a 5-year-old that believes that, our commander-in-chief has a potty mouth. That saddens me. I've got a 1-year-old grandson that I want him to grow up understanding that people that make the sacrifice, that run for office, are oftentimes outstanding people that give up an awful lot in that sacrifice in order to run for office, and that they're noble people. That they are good, but they're trying to make the community in which they serve great. And that's what I want to be a part of. When you take a look at our state has a long way to go to get to the kind of understanding necessary to say that we're led by leaders in Austin that represents people no matter what your socioeconomic background. Locally, I think the Dallas City Council and I think that our mayor has done a fabulous job for a narrow group of people. I want to broaden that in order for it to represent more people at more compass points. Because no matter what neighborhood you come from, what community you consider yourself a part of, I think you can have the story that my wife and Gwyneth and I have had coming out of Frazier Courts housing projects in Southeast Dallas. I think you can have that story of working hard, learning life's lessons along the way, sticking in school to completion, gathering the kind of people that wanted to be a part of what you are asking them to join you in. By the way, that's leadership. And then going on and accomplishing enough goals and objectives to consider them first and then yourself a success. I think that can be achieved by more people around our city. I believe that we have a very practical formula. That formula can be offered in the form of leadership that can create the kind of policies and presence in order for our city to become an even better Dallas, Texas. By no means should anybody believe, no matter where you are in the world, that Dallas is not a first-class city by any standard. But we can do better. There is nobody I know in leadership capacity in our city that is not working to become even better. And so I'm joining the Corps as mayor, candidate, and I'm hopeful that there will be enough people that go to the polls that see what I see and join me in that initiative.
How exactly would you broaden that scope of benefit?
Well, one, we've got things that in housing initiatives that we know are hot topics. I've spent 5 years with an organization that is now DHA, that was previously Dallas Housing Authority. 5 years of deep diving into public accommodation as well as housing issues that went beyond our scope. And I think that we have a great opportunity of creating neighborhood beautification zones in order to get people to stay in their homes when they want to stay there, but also get people to move into neighborhoods that they wouldn't normally be attracted to if it wasn't for those beautification zones. If we can take trade missions all over the world, I think we can take trade missions to visit people like firefighters and police officers and teachers from around the greater metropolitan area that have found themselves in a migration pattern outside of the city of Dallas. I'd like to be the mayor to invite them to come on home to Dallas. Let them know we need them.
Do you believe housing to be the chief issue in bringing people back to Dallas, or do you feel that business is more enticing to bring the numbers back to the city proper?
Well, I think a business and business and economic development is always one of those important drivers of any type of political campaign. Okay. You have to be able to employ people, improve infrastructure, add to the tax base, and develop leaders. And good business and economic development policy and leadership will get you there. But also, I think good governance, how that plays out in a 14-1 form of government is critically important. I don't believe we've gotten the best out of 14-1. I think there are council districts that hadn't been paid enough attention to. I think there are council members that need the support of a mayor in a forum that they haven't had it before, or they haven't had enough of it before. And I'd like to be able to mesh that kind of leadership into really, really working very hard to get a chance to know, like, appreciate, and form that derivative called trust with 14 council members that would accept me as their mayor. I don't know if there is a greater duty of a mayor than to work on the relationship with the colleagues that you've got to get things done with. We do not have a strong mayor form of government. The most we often have is courtesies like thank you and please. Other than that, we get a chance to set the agenda, but the council certainly can interfere with that prerogative. We also, the appointment process, the council has to be involved in that, or you've got an incredibly dysfunctional organization. So what I would like to be able to see is a celebrated relationship, one that is superior to previous relationships between the mayor and other 14 council members. It's time for us to get the most out of 14-1. Now is the time.
What would you say to those who would see this as something of a city manager city, and would say that the position of mayor is more symbolic than it is hands-on? It sounds like you have very direct and hands-on plans for what you would do for the city of Dallas.
I think when it comes to is this a city manager form of government, I'd say they're absolutely right. They should think that way. If they don't believe me, I'd invite them to listen to you or read the charter. All three can be reconciled on the truth, and that is, this is a city that has chosen historically to have a city manager form of government. Mm-hmm. I'm fine with that. What I'm suggesting is the policy setters, the directors, the ultimate trustees, the representative of the people, that power lies within that council. That is not a peer relationship at all.
True.
Don't treat it as peer. Certainly you don't want to be subordinate. From there, there's only one physical position it could be, and that is the city manager reports to the council. And we need to behave that way.
I'm glad you brought up the subject of trust a little earlier, because you're right. There is a mistrust on the national level, and even due to recent events on the local municipal level.
It is.
How do you propose to juxtapose that coming into a city that seems to already be in some sort of chaos?
Well, what we've done is we launched our campaign against conventional wisdom, against very, very good and expensive political advice. We launched our campaign a year early. We filed with the city secretary's office. We came from in front of the public and said, my name is Albert Black and I would like to be your mayor. And then we began to talk about those things we would do. We think that that gave citizens ample opportunity to vet us, to take a look at my history, to do all the research and work that you can do in order to find out what kind of history have I had. Is that record reconcilable with what I'm saying? We didn't stay behind those curtains. We didn't remain coy about what we were going to do. We wasn't shortening the length of time that citizens would have a chance to challenge us or to encourage us. We made ourselves available because I believe in a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. And as soon as people can be involved, the citizens of Dallas, as soon as they can be involved with a decision that will affect their lives, the sooner that happens, the better the process is. That's what we've offered them. That's the answer to your question. We availed ourselves as quick as we could. I believe other candidates should have. I think those other candidates should be held accountable for knowing what they wanted to do, understanding the plans, forming long and big, complicated strategy, putting it in front of citizens, calling themselves prepared, as if they've developed those plans. Power develops plans like that. I'm envious of the support. I certainly like the money-raising ability of candidates like that. And perhaps I'm just jealous because I won't have that in this campaign. I will have common people, Lewis like you and me, running this campaign. Common people, like the people that you and I know, the people that you grew up with and I did. We'll have those people that will be asked to consider the best candidate in this race. There are more people that are looking for their higher place on the economic ladder than the people that have secured their place on the higher economic ladder.
What do you feel is the difference? Do you feel it's an individual matter, it's a societal matter, or do you feel that there's a structural?
I think there's a structural opportunity matter that goes into a broad list of social economic issues. We have to create more real, that's spelled REAL, all capital letters, opportunities in areas like government contracting at the City of Dallas. Now you're looking at a guy that has been in business for 36 years, and we've never had a city contract. My friends were elected officials at the city level, and I didn't want the look of impropriety. We stayed away from city contracting. I'm happy we did. City contracting has to be corrected. We've had too many people that are involved in city contracting that haven't kept the process clean, pure, robust, strong, the job creator that it's supposed to be.
How can you do that? How can you as a candidate do that?
As a candidate, we can begin to ask the question. As a candidate, we can begin to take a look at the record. As a candidate, we can begin to look at the market. Talk to those people that have won those contracts. Talk to the people, and you'll get a better understanding of the people that didn't.
Understanding is the perfect word, because there's a lot to understand, and obviously you're very familiar with the City of Dallas, having history with the Black Chamber of Commerce and many other organizations.
Yes.
Even in the southern sector, and particularly urban groups.
Yes.
For that southern sector, south of 30, what do you believe you can do to enhance the quality of life there? Because what we're seeing, though we see constant influx of business to the greater metropolitan area,
yes,
very seldom do we see that land in Dallas proper. How can your governance bring that back? How can you restore Dallas to its place in the center of all of this?
When you take a look at some developments like we do of health enterprise areas such as the area of 752, 10, 12, and 15, for an example, areas in which I refer to as health enterprise zones, and I think it really become that. We've got enough proliferation of healthcare providers now in that particular area. We can now begin to incent companies to do light manufacturing, to do assembly work, to do other kind of work to support the healthcare industry in those particular zones. Then what you'll see is that people take better care of their property. They stay more than a 20-year cycle in their homes. They are working in the community in which they live in, and now we've got more of a wholesome community. We can have schools with a focus on that particular industry. Instead of shutting school and selling it off to real estate industry for redevelopment, what we can do is create things like health academies, where people from all over the city, and that's what I mean about an all-compass point strategy, are coming in, understanding what's going on with this renaissance of health enterprise. Now, if you'll go to Spring Avenue now, in the Fraser Courts area of town, all the way back to Sain Road, what I'm talking about is not something that is a vision that's being imagined with no practical application or no formation in reality. You can walk into these places right now. If you like, you can fill out the necessary paperwork and we'll have someone see you. We want to keep you in good health, Lewis.
All right. Do you find it any coincidence at all that this exact area that we've been discussing has needs in education, housing, and even has concerns with the way it's being policed? Is this happenstance, or is it all related?
I think it's all related. I don't think it's happenstance. And I don't think it's the burden of just the citizen alone. Whereas I think the primary responsibility of good community lies with the citizen that lives in that community. Oftentimes, that citizen is paying taxes in order to be served. What I've found in some of the experience that I've had in Dallas, particularly this year that I've spent, this 6 months that I've spent running for mayor, and the months preceding to that, that I needed to use along with family members walking and talking to citizens that would help us make that decision. What I found is oftentimes communities with a so low socioeconomic group of people living there, that group was oftentimes under-policed, over-coded, making it more desirable by raising the misery factor. I also found that those communities were oftentimes planned to be redeveloped in the near term. You see, we've put $330 million in what Fair Park will become. That means that those outlying areas around Fair Park are redevelopment zones. Where you and I are talking about now, that area, are zoned for some of the most extraordinary redevelopment ever. You see, if you look at where that is in the proximity to the greatest enterprise zone in North Texas, that's downtown Dallas. You can get downtown Dallas 5 minutes. Now, if you run rail into that community, like we've demonstrated, we can run rail into areas south of the Trinity River, as been done in Bishop Arts. Well, then now what we're talking about is the kind of urban convenience that's cool, extraordinary, accessible, but expensive.
Do you feel that that's something that puts it out of Dallas's reach?
No, it doesn't put it out of Dallas's reach. It puts it out of the reach of the people that are living there now. It's not revitalization when that takes place. It's gentrification. It's revitalization when it produces couples like Gwinnett and I. You see, we didn't live south of the Trinity River until our business was really working.
Okay.
And then we could live anywhere we choose to.
But you still chose to stay in the southern sector.
Oh, it's where we call home. We feel very good about where we live. We feel safe. Citizens want to feel safe. They want to feel secure. They want to make sure that the streets are well taken care of. And that if there is a pothole, because there's going to be a pothole from time to time, there's enough lighting that they can actually see the pothole at night. I'm finding that good governance really does make the top of the list here. It's because when a city is being governed well, you don't have one voice of the mayor talking about these things. You've got 14 voices plus the mayor. That's 15 people weighing into this matter to make sure that city staff does this in a manner that represents the first-class city we all want to be.
So it sounds to me that you are looking for the city to share in that pride that you have for Dallas. You need their energy, their activity in the municipal process in order for your plans to be made good?
Absolutely. I think it starts with people like police and firefighters. I think the morale that we have with police officers, we cannot have another mayoral cycle with that morale. Somehow, some way, we've got to get to the root cause of that morale issue. We've got to make people feel good about being on the force of the Dallas police officers, force of the DPD. We've got to recruit people that want to come to work with us. And then we've got to go beyond that, and we've got to make sure that they are living in communities that are attractive places to live. And I think some of the home remediation and how neighborhood beautification plans that we have, I think that will address those issues for the professions of teaching, firefighting, police officers. Now, we also have to make sure that these same professionals are responsible and responsive to the kind of citizenry and students that we have. We've got to make sure that police officers are not having the kind of tragedies that creates the strife in community. Those are open conversations. If we can't open them up, we're never going to get to the bottom of it. If we've got the unions that are taking the same positions no matter what set of facts there are, well then, quite frankly, I don't think that we're going to make much progress, and I'm not going to do much about that. I am misleading the people that are listening to your program and misleading everyone else, as other candidates will be misleading them if they think they're going to resolve the problem. If the police unions will not open up and have a conversation, sometime in life, we have wrong. That is wrong. That is wrong. And everybody knows it. With that being the case, I think good rapport is built around when we all see that kind of circumstance and we call it what it is. That's what builds good communication. That's what leads to trust.
Well, I certainly thank you for taking the time and opening your home to us to delve a little further into the candidate and the man that you are. Of course, I would be misleading our following if I allowed them to think that I could unpack everything that you propose to do in just this small frame of time.
Sure.
So I certainly look forward to being able to ask you more questions. Where can everyone find more information on your campaign?
Well, you can go to albertfordallas.com. That's albertfordallas.com. We've got a great site. From the site, you'll be able to link in to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and the rest of the social media kind of platforms. We're very, very pleased that the way we're spending our Sunday, our Monday through Friday, and our Saturdays all day long, the way we're spending that is being posted. From church on Sunday mornings all the way across to having good times with people and their families on Saturday nights. We're being posted. It's out there. It gives people at home, it gives people in different social venues that are not with us an opportunity to be a part of what we're doing out on the campaign trail. I'm absolutely loving this stuff as I'm learning the nuances of social media and how it can be so advantageous. The person that I see, the people that I see, the society that I see that it's most advantageous for is the voting citizens in any election across our country. They get a chance to see their candidates as intimately now as they've ever been able to in the history of our country. I'm glad I'm a part of it. So thank you, Lewis, for coming in. If there's a follow-up interview of any type that you would like to be able to have, I want to lend an invitation to you that I've done with employees that I've built a 36-year career that I'm now retired in. And that is, I want to tell you in 2 words, I'm available.
Well, we certainly appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.